All right, good morning, everybody. What is up? What is up? We got another fun-filled day of earnings, reactions, reports, and trade deal news, giving us the boost that the bulls want to take us higher and higher and higher and higher, all through to the Santa rally, potentially. You can smell the candy canes and the Yule logs and all the other good things that Christmas, the holiday season brings. Pecans, yes, pecans. I love me some pecans and pecan pie. So on the flip side of that, Roku, which I was thinking was going to continue to march up towards 170, had negative reaction to earnings, and now I don't think that's going to happen anymore. I really don't. I think it could get its momentum back, but once we start to break these momentum moving averages, then it becomes harder and harder and harder to get the groove back. And as you can see, we've got our 100-day SMA acting as support as well as the 34. We got the 9 EMA rolled over. We're below the 50-day daily, and this is just showing us an hourly chart, hourly candles reacting to those moving averages. I also have a drawing here that it pretty much stopped right to a T on, and this drawing was created using Fibonacci. So I like to draw Fibonacci. I did a major retracement from high to low. And look at the way that candle just stops right on it, right? It just happens. We have a confluence. Now, typically, people will kind of stay away from going long a couple days, 1 to 3 days after earnings. That doesn't mean that there's not an intraday play for a bounce play on Roku. However, because it was a pretty negative reaction, I don't think too many people will be opening new swing trades, at least long ones. They might maybe sell some options out of the money, try to collect some premium as this thing kind of, wades through this mess in this trend line. So if we zoom in on a 5-minute time frame and compare that to the daily, then we look at 119.45 as a very, very serious support, potential bounce to 121. I would look for the 100 SMA daily to really act as resistance today. If this thing happens to drop this level, it's a good idea to have another target, and that target would be, let's throw on some trend lines. Here we go. Here's our daily trend lines. So you can see that doji right off of it. We would want to switch to a daily. That's with TrendSpider, you want to switch to the daily chart when you're going to set your alert. Pro tip. By the way, guys, TrendSpider is going to eliminate their 30% discount soon, and their price is only going to keep going up as they add new things. So I would seriously consider grandfathering yourself now and getting the 30% discount now. I just posted that in the Bullish Bears chat room and on YouTube, so you guys can take advantage of that 30% before they jack up the prices. Rightfully so. They're adding a lot of cool stuff. They're going to have a really good screener and scanner built into the platform coming. So let's go back to Roku and set an alert. We want to know when a short-term candle is breaking through that moving average. as well as this trend line. So I'm going to create an alert at this drawing. This should give me a 5-minute choice. Yep. And this is a Roku daily TL breaker bounce. And we got another one lower. This could be our another bounce target or cover target. Second support, Roku, breaker bounce. We don't care what happens, just trade whatever happens there. Now when we switch to a 5-minute versus the daily and turn off the 5-minute trend lines. And oh yeah, I gotta turn off that data. There we go. And oh yeah, it won't show it. It'll show the lines later. I forgot why it won't do that. So that's the Roku trading plan. So essentially, if there's a breakdown of this, there's a good short play down to those daily trend lines. And if there is any type of bounce, there's just a quick scalp to maybe 121.80s. Potentially VWAP or the 5-minute 9 EMA, maybe the 50. Let's see, the 50's already consolidated nice thanks to last night's price action. Where's the 200 at? All right, so we got the 200. So the ultimate alert is going to be here, which I already have. It looks like I already have an alert here. Edit the alert. Yep. Yeah, so we'll get an alert if we hit the 200 SMA in the 5-minute too. So there we go there. Let's take a look at BNGO. Morning Insen. Sup Creedmoor. And BNGO. So BNGO hit a big daily trend line and pulled back. Also hit the 100 SMA level, kind of broached it a little bit and then quickly pulled back. So looking at that, we can watch to see what this daily candle looks like. Right now, 145. Let's turn on those daily trend lines. Why is that? That doesn't look right to me. 5 versus daily. And I hit 179, 142. 142. Why doesn't it show it going? It's odd that it's not giving me that data. Normally that daily candle will be real time. So I'm just going to switch back to this view. So we have a potential for this to make a lower high and form some kind of falling wedge. It's already, was bought up pretty well off of this support right here, major daily trend line. And we'll look for any type of bull flag, type of pattern, consolidation, maybe cup and handle, inverse head and shoulder, bull pennant, something to take us up to either 163 or 177. If we're able to potentially break those levels, then we have some hourly and daily trend lines much higher, near 250. You could see how this one, the way this thing impulses, this is really just a big bull flag on the hourly chart. So the potential, if we get the volume, and again, this is, to me, it looks like a low float. I don't know if trade ideas, somebody tried to tell me on StockTwits that it wasn't, the float was wrong, or it wasn't a low float, but it's under 5 mil, so that's a low float. And unless trade ideas float share information is inaccurate, then we'll look for this thing to bust out and potentially go up to the $2 level and make some kind of megaphone pattern. So that is on the list. The list. BIDU had earnings, and BIDU is looking rather nice on the hourly. Yeah, we also got Baba to look at. I want to actually cover that. That's a good one too. Let me add that to the list. So we got BIDU spiking, hitting a daily trend line here. We got actually convergence of these two daily trend lines. And let's see, as far as daily moving averages, we don't really have much in the way there, huh? So there's the 9 weekly. Oh, I'm sorry, that actually is that's the monthly candle. Let's go to daily versus weekly. Yeah, so these are those lines that we're going to have trouble with, but there's the 34 weekly. Let's see what time frame. Ooh, I can get 15 minutes off that. That's at 123. And any type. I love how many alerts I can quickly set with Trend Spider on a 5-minute. There we go. And then when we switch down to here, 5 versus daily. Yeah, so look at this, super bullish. So we'll look for some type of pullback. Ideally, we're getting a pullback on BIDU to the 50 SMA 5-minute. That is a good area for the bulls to buy the dip if this thing's going to continue to rip throughout the day. Whoops. Let's check out Alibaba. Pretty similar price action. Wow, it's really going. Hourly versus daily. Let's see. Okay, I see why they're giving this line weight. Okay, now it should let me, yep, it's going to let me create an alert now. So I double clicked it. Kind of another trick, if you can't set the alert on the main trend line on the main time frame that you're analyzing, double click it and it will let you. And I want to know when 5-minute candle is going to smack into that. We're in a huge daily breakout for Baba for this week. Really, this thing has just had a really nice earnings run up. And if you look at the potential of the daily and the weekly chart, you don't really have a trend line in the way until we get up here. Right? It is we are breaking this channel at this point. There's still this, okay? There's still this. This was a major peak. We're able to break this, and then we could easily see this clear blue sky area 200, maybe 210, and that might be a nice bull play for a Santa rally. It really depends on stocks. We just continue to break these major angular trend line, rising wedge, and squeeze, and there's a lot of FOMO and greed pushing the market higher. And looking at our trend lines, just going right to it. I don't like the way that drew it here. Hang on one second. Let's go to Wick. There we go. Let's see if I could get this Wick perfectly. Yeah, we pretty much. I'm going to eliminate some of these lines because it messes with the resolution very, very badly. And let's move this out of the way because it's not going to hit that one first. It's going to hit this one. And let's kill weekly real quick. Yeah, so this daily candle, this advance, again, you guys heard me talk about it earlier. This put, the fact that we're breaking over this puts us on target to test this trend line. We never know when it's going to touch a trend line, right? And, right, it's all about managing risk and looking at the charts and realizing what major resistances we've broken over. What's the current pattern? We're still in a giant rising wedge. I mean, you look at this. This is still just a huge ascending, but there's a lot of short covering and squeezing and just FOMO and greed pushing this higher. So looking at this trend line, this is a very valid trend line that's identified some tops because it's broken over some other valid trend lines. This is kind of the, what people are looking at. Now, this is very overextended, so can this pull back and retest before moving higher? Can this pull all the way back to any one of these trend lines? Absolutely. But you just kind of take it one day at a time and look at the magnets for price. I mean, this is a huge, the fact that we broke over just these tops is gigantic. And if we really go out further with TrendSpider, we get the bigger picture for some of these angular resistances. They're much higher. They're much higher. Can you imagine price going up and testing this trend line? Right? It's kind of hard to imagine, but it's certainly possible. And that's the way the market likes to surprise people, right? I mean, there's so many bears, right? As this goes up, they just can't believe it. They keep waiting for the top. But I mean, week after week, we're printing green candles. I like a good pullback and bear rally like anybody else, but I mean, this is very, very hard to be bearish. I know we're at these trend lines. I know they're major trend lines. It could change, but we just continue to push higher. It is what it is. The trend is your friend. The potential for moving high is still there, and all these trend lines are drawn with mathematical accuracy. Very, very well done. So here's a SPY 5-minute. You can just see we've got some 5-minute trend lines here for us to break through. And when I switch back to the daily, it'll give us those daily trend lines that we broke through. I don't like to use 5-minute trend lines too often. I like 5-minute moving averages a little bit better. And then, of course, Apple continues to make new highs. Phone sales, new iPhone, streaming services. There's a lot to be said here. This continues to push close to this major daily trend line. Right? This is a significant drawing. We could stall up here. We certainly could. And if Apple does stall up here and roll over, look for markets to potentially follow. Apple tends to lead the way right now. I think there's a lot of eyes consistently on Apple. So those stocks are all stocks that I'm going to be watching today. I'm going to be mainly using TrendSpider to do analysis today. I'm also kind of interested in CLVS. This has a daily breakout above the daily 50 and the daily 9 and a daily trend line. It's pulled back from this line here. I'm actually going to lock this trend line, and I want to know if this breaks over this particular one later in the day, because there's a lot of room to run on a chart like this. I'm just seeing if it'll let me draw any fibs, and it's not finding any because of the mode that I'm in. So let me switch to 5-minute versus daily. There's that 50-day. Any type of pullback to that 50-day on a 5-minute chart is significant. So you can see this is really strong going into, right, we're about 5 minutes into the bell. And let's see, that pulled back all the way and touched that 50 SMA, so that is really nice. Let's pull up CLVS on my other chart. Wow, that is all right. So we got a high of 474. Let's see where this puppy's going. Whew, man, it cleared a whole mess. Look at that bundle. All right, where's our... Let's throw this in. So we're pretty far off that 9 EMA in a 5-minute. Let's switch to a 1 versus 5 real quick. 472. Yeah, that looks like a gimme. All right, so I'm waiting for a little pullback here. Yeah, it's very far. It's very far off. So, I mean, it's down here at 426. We're currently flagging pending, so the potential for this to rip up to 475 is still good. And really want to see it on the surging volume scanner. Right now we got IQ. That was on the pre-market. Dang, there's a lot right now hitting scanners. All right, so we're just waiting for this. Let's see, what's our market clock? We still got a couple minutes. Here we go. All right, so we're watching this for a little breakout. There's a little pennant right here, and this is getting currently pushed up. The volume is a little bit light compared to the first, really the first and second 5-minute candles. But with this kind of push through, it is looking kind of nice. So we really want to make sure this thing can close above 450. But your risk, you look at the 9 EMA and then you look at your candlestick high, and you can kind of figure out what your risk reward is based on the wicks and based on how far away you are from that 9 EMA. Staying above this cluster of trend lines is also key. We get back below this cluster of trend lines, that would be bearish. So ideally we want to trade in this kind of like this megaphone. You've got the bottom blue and the top green. You really got to be close with it. Let's see what else we got. I'm going to close some things down here. But I do like the way that this thing is currently hanging out up in this kind of ascending. Let's switch over to the 5 and daily. What's up with the weekly? We're going to have to switch to a 10-minute to get the weeklies. Now there's a big 9 EMA weekly, so that is a balance of power for sure. We want to know if that thing's going to stay above that. Let's check this out. Let's just go out a little bit further. We want to know every little trend line. We can do this so quickly. Boom. That is an important one right there. Dang, look at this. This thing could get close to $5 today if this volume keeps up. All right, so we're getting some pullback. We just had a 5-minute candle end, new 5-minute candle forming. And let's go back to our 1 and 5. Yeah, and this thing's identifying, see new clusters of trend lines. It's looking at this 5-minute very strongly. So if this thing rolls over, the potential for this to retest that 9 EMA 5-minute pretty hard, which could be a good entry. You still got lots of resistance right here at 450 $0.50. Let's see what else is running right now. Let's check on. I'm going to flip back to this. I'm interested right now to see how. I mean, look at SPY. Just crushing it right out of the open, breaking over that 5-minute resistance trend line. That was from pre-market or after hours. You got a nice bundling of moving averages, so tons of short covering going on right now. So the big boys are doing really good. Roku, on the other hand, Roku broke that trend line we identified overnight. This is a Fibonacci level, and there was a huge short, cover, reshort. This thing is still very much a by the minute type play until it stabilizes a little bit. This could potentially roll over. And we have those daily trend line targets, which I don't know why I can't see them. Is it going to make me turn this off to see those lines? It's still not showing me the... Oh, because I got to switch to this. There we go. That's a little bit annoying. I had to switch to this drawing to... Or this major time frame. I had to switch to the daily just to find these trend lines that I locked as drawings, because if I turn... Let's see... 1 hour versus daily. Yeah, so it would only do your main time frame. Actually, it's still showing those now, which is interesting. So we're getting some doji off of these. These are major supports. So there's going to be a lot of stops being triggered. If we get below 115, it looks like 115.70s. There's a chance we maybe double bottom. Everyone remembers when this dip was bought off this trend line. And wow, there's still some big call sweepers going through on Apple. People are buying January 265 calls. I'm watching call sweeps. Somebody just bought January 130 calls on Roku. So traders making some bets on a recovery. All right, we're getting that 9 EMA test now on CLVS. Nice job on BIDU, guys. Yeah, that's right. Square also earnings. So Square's got a nice convergence, confluence of momentum moving averages, both on a 5-minute and a daily chart, which I like. this creates an opportunity because you have the 50-day, 34, 20. You've got the 9, and then these are the daily time frames, and then of course you got the 50 and 200 on the 5, just about to cross over. Usually, not always, but usually 50 SMA 5 minutes crossing over 200s are bullish or more bullish, and you look for long opportunities there. So this is trying to close above this 9 EMA. This is a good risk reward if you're able to hold above this 9 EMA, which it looks like it's popping right now. That there's a chance that this thing rallies today, and I'm not seeing any daily trend lines, but we want to know where the 5 minutes are at. So you got room up to 62.55 right now, as long as this 5 minute candle can close over this 9 EMA. That would be a buy signal for me. And you've got 4 minutes for that to happen. You know, meanwhile, there could be a little mini bull flag happening right now on Square, so we can look at this 1 minute. Don't worry about these 1 minute trend lines, guys. They're drawn on such a short time frame that you can't weigh them too heavily. I mean, it's really only looking back to 11:30 yesterday, so how important are those trend lines to the market? You know, chances are not very. So if this thing flags right here, you got a chance. And again, watching that 5 minute candle close, you've got some room. So now you got the 5 minute trend lines, and you got the 5 minute 9 EMA, not far. 30 cents, that's not far on a stock like this. That's actually pretty dang good. So, little flag, little penny here would make you happy. Let's take a look at CLVS. I don't think this one's done. It did break the 1 minute. Oh, the 5 is actually a lot lower. So why does it show that at $4 on this chart? Is that accurate? I don't know if that's... Oh, that's why. Duh. My non-regular trading hours data was off. Need to make sure you have this checked when you're day trading. Momentum. If you uncheck this to draw a drawing and don't put it back on, you're going to be very unhappy. So there is some dip buying going off this 9 EMA 5 minute on CLVS. And again, 450 looks like resistance right now pretty well. If we're able to get above that, we can get some breathing room. All right, let's see what else is going down. SPY's hanging out near 309. I closed my bear call spread on SPY yesterday. I had one. I was up like 30% on it. And I was going to leave the long calls open, but I just didn't trust it. And of course, they got news overnight, and now it's spiking. So I woulda, coulda, shoulda, woulda. But we're getting a nice bull flag on SPY, so there's a potential move up right now on SPY. That's looking pretty dang good. Okay. CLVS, guys. CLVS with some high volume. And let's switch over to CLVS. here we go. Back to the moment of truth near 450, still near the high of day. Since the bell, we want to see this break these trend lines. It's still very, very choppy, but the potential for cup and handle forming through here is growing, right? It's kind of a messy one, but if we can handle up near 450, that would be very nice. All right, BNGO is really showing up on the scanner here for surging volume. This is just a buttload of volume and a pretty nice momentum bundle. Again, this would be the target if this is able to break through this. There's definitely something to that to look for. If we're able to break through this thing could squeeze a lot higher. I'm still pretty interested in CLVS. So again, that's how clean it looks with no 5-minute trend lines. As soon as we throw those on, bam, then you see the mess. Then you see that ultimate target is that daily drawing right there. So let's refresh that again. Sometimes I gotta refresh it if I notice drawings, and there's some drawings that are further away from my target, so I'll just remove them, right? This thing is, there's a wall right now at 450, just a wall of sellers. Let's see, BNGO. We still got a couple minutes left on this 5-minute candle. Looks like Square still trying for that 63.25. Roku's trying to get back above 119. You can see how the 50 SMA is going to give it trouble the way it's curled over. You really want it to push above the 50 SMA in the 5-minute. Let's see. Anything else on my list? NIO. Tesla. Here's the opportunity for Tesla to really break out after closing at highs and then another gap up. Opportunity on Tesla is pretty high. Premium's going to be a lot high the way that it's been running, but let's see on 10-minute versus weekly if there's any weekly moving averages in the way. Man, there is a lot of air up here to 340. Yeah, this thing's screaming. 340, maybe 343. I don't really trust this particular trend line. Let's check the 5-minute real quick. 335 maybe. Yeah, so this is what we're going to need to get above. If we're going to hit 310 today, we need to break this. This is still a pretty big move up. You know, and typically how it goes lately with the moves being overnight it gets up into its range and then just kind of trades sideways all day and lets the option traders adjust their option trades. It's more or less what has been happening lately, especially with everyone in the market so unbelievably overhedged to a large degree. There's just so much